Municipal waste disposal is a problem. How to get rid of it, that's the question. As a public servant, a farmer, or a citizen, you want to do the right thing. We all want to do what's best for our lives. Unfortunately, there's a lot of misinformation about something called biosolids. This increasing and disturbing trend is what this presentation is about. We'd like to reveal the other side of a bill of goods which you may be sold in the future, or perhaps you've already been sold it. If we search the internet for biosolids, we'll find descriptions that sound reassuring and promising. Words like organic, recycling, and green energy. These words all sound good, and to be fair, technically, they're accurate from one standpoint.
Fertilizer, it's an organic fertilizer that we use for folks like Tom Pitstick and a number of other farmers as crop nutrition and soil amendment.
As an example, the word organic, often used by these companies, can be defined two ways. First, it brings to mind the all-natural, more expensive food in the grocery store. Food that's been grown without chemicals, that are non-GMO, and with no additives. This is not what biosolids are. In fact, biosolids are the exact opposite of that wholesome picture. Biosolids are more accurately a representation of the second use of the word organic, and that definition is derived from or containing living organisms. Not quite as appetizing. So, containing living organisms, now that is true about biosolids. They certainly do contain living organisms, but I assure you it's not quite like organic milk. Biosolids contain varying levels of anything that is flushed down a city toilet, sink, or bathtub. In addition to human feces and urine, and whatever diseases those might contain, biosolids also contain personal health care products, chemical cleaners, prescription drugs, illicit drugs, approved medical wastes, and any unapproved disposals like motor oil or use your imagination. In our opinion, it's more than a little misleading to tell the public that biosolids are organic fertilizer. The main focus of industrial biosolids operations, also referred to as anaerobic digesters, the biggest percentage of what they process and make money on is sludge from cities. Sludge is the rendered leavings of municipal wastewater treatment plants. If it was just human poop, it might not be so bad. But the concerning part is that it's not only poop. This slurry regularly contains over 80 volatile chemicals, because it's everything that goes into the sewer system, not just poop. It is true that a small amount of farm waste is added to this mixture, as well as more organic industrial byproducts from places like P&G, Colgate, and Walmart, as has been documented. Who knows what these industrial byproducts are, but rolling the dice and growing our food in it doesn't seem like a good idea. In our experience, the farm waste portion of biosolids is as little as 5% of the mixture, while industrial byproducts and municipal industrial waste makes up the vast majority of organic matter fed into the digester. The slurry is then spread on croplands around rural homes. Listen to this clip in which the Southwest District Head of the Ohio EPA admits what the biosolid disposal plant in Bath Township, Ohio is.
To ask you a simple question. Do you see this as industrial or agricultural?
How do you classify it?
Industrial.
Not agriculture. It's industrial waste disposal. Naturally, the digester company is paid a handsome fee, thousands of dollars per ton, to dispose of the wastes, which begs the question, just how do they dispose of all this organic matter? This is the truly disturbing part. They give it away to farmers, touting it as free, nutrient-rich, organic fertilizer. The farmers are often all too glad to take it. And we don't blame the farmers because the companies tell them it's a nutrient-rich, organic fertilizer that helps with recycling. It's another half-truth we would charge. Biosolids are nutrient-rich, and technically they are organic, but again, the other half of that truth is that they also contain all of the aforementioned chemicals, drugs, and harmful wastes. Prions, a destructive protein found in biosolids, known to cause degenerative brain disease like mad cow disease, is in fact uptaken into the roots of plants and transferred via ingestion. Simple common sense tells us that anything a plant grows in is transferred into the plant. But it is nice to have science back this up now. Listen to this audio clip from 2019 in which an Ohio Department of Agriculture head inspector admits that crops from all fields are commingled, that is, mixed together.
Grain feed and seed section. This is
Mr. My name's I'm calling, I guess, for a couple of citizens here in Greene County, Ohio, that have a couple of questions. I'm trying to understand what kind of controls, if any, are in place that who's to say the grain from this field doesn't get put in the same hopper as the grain from any other field, you know?
well, I'm sure it does. All grain going to facilities are commingled. There's no way they're going to control that.
This means that the foods grown in this sludge are mixed together and sent to the same grain elevators to be introduced into the food supply, along with all the other traditionally more safely grown crops. It's all mixed together. Farmers are already growing part of our food supply in sludge, and this is allowed by the EPA, despite the federal EPA Inspector General's office issuing their own report in 2018 that states that the EPA can't ascertain the human health and environmental impact of biosolids. Here's another half-truth. The Ohio EPA will tell us how they test the biosolids for high levels of chemicals, but they test for less than 10 chemical levels. As we've said, there are regularly over 80 volatile substances found. If you don't test, you don't know. Another problem is that batches of sewage vary greatly in their composition and contamination levels. It's impossible to create a standardized formula for safe biosolids production. It's no secret that municipal waste disposal is a growing problem. People understand this. With populations expanding, sanitary departments are feeling the stress of increasing capacity. They're encountering more and more backups and problems. Cities are looking for alternative ways, cheaper ways, to dispose of waste. If you're a public official, you might find yourself in this boat right now. Or maybe as a farmer, you're feeling a financial pinch. Or as a citizen, you're feeling helpless against odors and truck traffic. What can you do? All of this is understandable. No matter who you are, your children, your parents, and future generations are all at stake. Once this stuff's in the soil, the volatile compounds can remain for decades or even longer. As a public official, you can refuse to create contracts with anaerobic digester companies. As a farmer, you can refuse to use biosolids on your fields. Your soil and neighbors will thank you. And as a citizen, you can inform neighbors, public officials, and most importantly, farmers. If the farmers refuse to use biosolids, these companies will have no place to put their sludge. So what's the answer then? Nobody likes somebody who criticizes a plan but offers no alternative solutions. So here's our advice. Stick to the traditional methods. Burn it or landfill it. Burning it's probably best. Incineration these days has never been cleaner. Air scrubbers are extremely effective, and this option eliminates the risk to our food supply, far outweighing the additional cost. If it's to be landfilled, at least the chemicals are concentrated in one place, and there's a liner to contain them. At least there, it's not going to be used to grow our food in. So that's it in a nutshell, biosolids. Sure, biodigesters can generate some methane with this process, a bit of electricity, but so can solar. And methane, we've been told, isn't good for the environment anyway, so how is that green energy? The amount of electricity that these companies produce pales in comparison to the amount of money these companies make for disposing of waste. Make no mistake, and take a look at their business models. The business is waste disposal, not green energy generation. We urge you to not be fooled by fancy buzzwords like organic and green energy. We urge you to use common sense and do some deep research. Don't just take a surface look at biosolids. Eating food grown in this sludge doesn't sound like a good idea for you, me, or our farmland, soils, waterways, or wildlife. It's just common sense. If you look, you will find stories of many, many people whose lives, farms, and soils have been ruined by biosolids. If we allow this type of facility to dispose of waste, we're not only contributing to unhealthier food for ourselves, but we're also risking the environment. And we haven't even mentioned the smell or possible health concerns with polluted air. Your citizens will likely be outraged by the smell. In our area, it has heavily affected our outdoor lifestyle. The truck traffic has decimated roads, and home values are at stake. While many people have also reported health issues they attribute to the odor and fumes. To close, consider this. This presentation isn't some tree-hugging, overreactive endeavor. It's a result of bipartisan, traditionally conservative and liberal political factions coming together to fight an issue which affects us all. Please carefully consider using anaerobic digesters, biosolids, or EPA so-called beneficial use sites in your area for waste disposal or as farm fertilizer. Thank you for your time, and feel free to reach out to the representative who presented this short video for more information.